In this video, we are going to talk about a new capability of AWS Identity and Access Management. This feature will allow your security teams to centrally manage root access for member accounts in your AWS organizations. Let's start by looking at the challenges around managing root access at scale. Prior to this feature, AWS accounts were provisioned with highly privileged root user credentials, which had unrestricted access to your accounts. Enforcement of multi-factor authentication, secure storage, and periodic rotation of these sensitive credentials was managed manually. As AWS environments grow, the manual approach to securing root access became increasingly burdensome, leading to operational inefficiencies and potential security vulnerabilities. This include delays in account provisioning processes and increased risks of unauthorized access if root credentials are not protected. When security teams need to perform specific actions that require root access, such as modifying resource policies, they often retrieve root credentials, which further expose the account to potential attacks. This reliance on long-term credentials increases the chances of mismanagement and compliance issues. The central management of root credentials capability allows customers to centrally manage your root credentials. It also simplifies auditing of credentials, as well as perform tightly scoped privilege tasks across your AWS member accounts using AWS Organizations. This solution has two main capabilities. The first one is root credential management. This capability allows management account or a delegated admin account to delete and audit root credentials of member accounts. It also allows enabling password recovery for specific member accounts. The second capability is the privileged root actions. This capability allows the management or the delegated administrator account to perform certain root actions in member accounts, like deleting misconfigured policies in Amazon SQS queues or Amazon S3 buckets using short-term root access. Let's first discuss the root credential management capability. With this capability, you can now centrally manage and secure privileged root credentials across all your accounts in your AWS organization. Your security teams can now programmatically and through the console remove root user credentials from member accounts. Deletion of root credentials also prevents their recovery, safeguarding against any unintended or unauthorized root access in the future. Because you can now create member accounts without root credentials right from the start, you no longer need to apply security measures like MFA after account provisioning. Accounts are secure by default. This reduces security risks associated with long-term root access. It also helps you simplify and automate the entire account provisioning process. Your security teams can demonstrate compliance by centrally discovering and monitoring the status of root credentials across your member accounts. Now, with the root credentials deleted, there may be times where you would need to perform actions on your member accounts that require root access. How do we achieve that? So let's talk about the second capability, privileged root actions. This feature offers a secure alternative to maintaining long-term root access. Instead of manually accessing root credentials whenever privileged actions are required, your security teams can now gain short-term, task-scoped root access to member accounts. This capability makes sure that actions such as unlocking S3 bucket policies or SQS policies can be performed securely. With this feature, you get short-term root access for specific actions adhering to the best practices of least privilege. This limits the scope of what can be done and minimizes the duration of access, reducing potential risks. Let's see this in action. In this demo, I'm going to show you how to enable the centralized root access feature on your management account and how to use this feature to take privileged actions on your member accounts. In this setup, I have an organization with a management account and some member accounts. I'm logged in to the management account now. In order to enable the centralized root access feature, you need to open the IAM console and choose Root Access Management and click Enable. In this capability section, you will see the two capabilities of this feature: root credential management and privileged root access in member accounts. You can choose to select both the capabilities or one capability at a time based on your organization needs. Now choose Enable and go back to the Root Access Management console. Here, you can check the status of root credentials of your member accounts and check for the presence of access keys, MFA keys, console password, etc. Next, I'll show you how to delete the root credentials of a member account. Select the member account that you want to delete the credentials on. Choose Take Privilege Action. Now choose Delete Root User Credentials. Here, you can review the last used information of the root credentials. Choose Delete Root User Credential and confirm. You can confirm that the root credentials on the member account are no longer present. Now, let's walk through the steps to take a privileged action on a member account. Choose the member account and select Take Privileged Action. Choose Select S3 Bucket Policy. For this demo, I will select an Amazon S3 bucket that denies all principals from accessing the S3 bucket. Choose the S3 bucket and click on Delete Bucket Policy. You can also review the bucket policy before proceeding to delete the policy. In the demo, we walk through the steps to enable centralized root access and perform privileged actions on the member account. If you have to perform other privileged actions that require root access, allow password recovery through centralized root access for the member account and go through the standard recovery process. To summarize, as you adopt centralized root access to remove root credentials from your member accounts, continue to manage root on your management account securely with MFA. If you have SCPs to block root access, they should be adjusted to allow assume root through centralized root access feature. Control Tower controls now support root access management. Trusted Advisor, AWS Config, and Security Hub are adjusted to reflect deleted root credentials. Continue to monitor password recovery processes and remove any recovered root credentials as soon as the action is performed. And for any recovered long-term root credentials, enable MFA and manage them securely as you currently do. Refer to our AWS documentation and blogs for additional information. Thank you for your time.